To create a hospital, navigate to Data Administration. Select Setup and then System. Select Hospitals and Departments. Click New. Type the hospital details. For USA only, if the hospital is attesting for MIPS, select the box for eligible clinicians at the institution. Add the hospital logo by selecting Browse. Select the file. Click Open to accept. To add a new department, select Department. Click New. Type department name. Information can be copied from another department. To copy, select the hospital and department in the Copy From section. Select what to copy from the existing department. Click OK. To define charge controls, select System, Hospital and Departments, Charges Control. The Charges Control settings can be configured for each hospital. Export Type defines the type of charges the department exports through the interface. Global Export Type combines professional and technical charges. Split Export Type exports professional or technical charges separately. Note, if using Split Export Type, two separate interfaces are required. External billing codes export customized procedure codes to include hospital billing codes. Choosing Yes allows the hospital billing code to appear on standard ARIA charge reports. Choosing No exports charges using the standard Common Procedural Terminology (CPT). RVU Export, choose to export the relative value units, RVU, to the billing system. RVUs display on the standard ARIA charge reports. Note, RVUs are multiplier units adopted by Medicare and other third-party payers to indicate the amount of time it takes to perform a service or technical skill. This function is unique to the United States. RVU multiplier. Enter the RVU multiplier used. The RVU multiplier is based on region. To enter a new transportation source, select the Transportation tab and click Edit. Click New. Type the name and phone number. Click Apply. Click OK. To set preferences for patient records, navigate to Preferences. Select Ask for a reason when erroring patient data if needed. By default, this feature is disabled. Allow audit log capture of user access modification to patient records. Enabling this option allows the system to maintain an audit history. Select Provider Approval settings for approval type, overdue flagging, and allow approval without review. Create and edit a group. The system administrator will create and edit a group to the clinic's ARIA system in Data Administration. Select Setup. Under Setup, choose the tab for System. Select Department Details. Select the department and hospital in which you would like to add a group. In the section below, select Groups. Select New. The Group Details box opens. Enter the name of the scheduling group. Below the name is a drop-down for type. Available options are Staff Only, Resource Only, or Staff and Resource. Enter all mandatory information. Once the user enters the appropriate information, click OK and save. To edit or inactivate the group, select the Edit button. Groups cannot be deleted, only inactivated. Once satisfied, click OK. Save any changes made to the scheduling groups. The system administrator will create and add scheduled holidays to the clinic's ARIA system in Data Administration. Select the Setup tab and then the System subtab. From the System Setup panel, select Department Details. In the upper section of the Department Details, choose the department and hospital to create the holiday. In the section below, select the second tab Holidays. Click New. The Holiday Details box opens. The ID and holiday are required free text fields. Select the Department Shutdown box to automatically skip this day when scheduling a series of appointments. Select Set Date to open the Repeat Pattern dialog box. Assign the date and recurrence pattern for the holiday. The repeat pattern can be weekly, monthly, or yearly. Enter the range of repeat. Click OK. To configure the department shutdown timeframe, select the Start Time and End Time. For more information, an online help button is available. Once all settings are configured, click OK and save. It is important to designate working days and hours to define the availability for a department. Select System and Department Details. Select the department. Click Working Hours. Set the working hours for the department in the Start and End Time fields. Use checkboxes to select the days of the week to apply to, or select Apply to Monday through Friday. Click OK. Use Edit to modify. Times cannot overlap. In appointment scheduling, agenda views for the department display the available working hours time slots in green. Only working days and hours are considered when scheduling a series of appointments. Other work areas, such as care paths, depend on a department's available working hours for some of the automated workflow functions. The hours outside the designated working hours display in gold on appointment scheduling. Manual appointment scheduling is possible outside of regular working days and hours. To set departmental preferences in Data Administration, select Setup. Select System. Click Department Details icon. Select Department. Select Preferences. Click Edit. Select Activity Capture. Choosing options here will streamline routine code capturing activities. Choose to auto-capture the weekly treatment management code. Choose Category and Activity. To enter procedure codes to monitor, click Edit. Select the codes. Click OK. Select other relevant general settings, such as Remember Previous Procedure Codes and Show Activity Capture dialog on completion of activity. Select Chart QA/Patient Manager. Choose to auto-capture weekly chart QA activity. Choose Category and Activity. Enter number of approving QA items. Chart QA code is billable only one time per 5 fractions of treatment. No less than 3 fractions of therapy must occur for a continuing weekly charge to be billed. Typically, a number of 3 or 5 is used depending on the physics workflow in the department. A number of 3 might be used to capture short weeks or to ensure the last 3 or 4 treatments do not get missed. Select relevant items to display on the title bar in Patient Manager. Select queue. Certain options here reflect settings on the treatment queue. For example, choose to capture Plan QA activity automatically. Choose category and activity. Select applicable options pertaining to the treatment queue. Select Workflow Management. Settings on this tab help streamline the automatic workflow for certain activities and tasks. Choose to require completion of checklist. This setting ensures that all checklist items are completed before a task or appointment can be marked as completed. Type due date for update patient care path task. Select relevant automatic review activities. Enter due date delay. Select Startup Care Path template. Enter due date. Click the Scheduling tab to set appointment duration options when scheduling an appointment in a time slot that is blocked for a specific activity. Click OK.
Managing external organizations allows the user to add or edit an external organization in data administration, including its details such as name, address, phone, fax, email, and preferred method of correspondence. The user will also be able to link one or more physicians, referring providers to the external organizations and indicate a preferred method of correspondence for the association. Additionally, the user will be able to link one or more external organizations and providers at an external organization to a patient in ARIA. This functionality will be used in the correspondence feature to allow a user to send correspondence to an external organization or a provider at an external organization. Adding a new external organization or modifying the details of an external organization can be performed by clicking the external organization's icon in Data Administration. Launching the workspace will bring the user to the external organization's landing page. There, the user will see the current external organizations which already exist in the system. If there are no existing external organizations, the window will be empty, and the Edit button will be disabled. The column chooser can be used to add more available columns to the grid. An external organization can be added to the system by clicking the New button. The external organization's address, phone number, fax number, email, preferred method of correspondence, and status of active or inactive can be entered. The preferred method of correspondence will have 3 options: unspecified, mail, or fax. If fax is chosen, the fax field must be filled in before the organization can be saved. The name of the external organization is mandatory as well as the preferred method of correspondence. The details of an existing external organization can be modified by selecting the organization row and clicking on the Edit button. Adding a provider to, or modifying details of an associated provider can be performed by navigating to the Assign to External Organizations tab in the Staff and Resources menu of Data Administration. When associating an external organization or a provider, only active providers can be linked to the external organizations. The Assign to External Organization tab only displays active external organizations. Also, The providers which can be linked to external organizations include both internal and external providers. A provider can be associated with more than one external organization, and an external organization can have multiple providers associated to it. In the far left window, select an external organization to assign providers to. Click on the Assign button. This opens the Assign Providers to External Organization window. The drop-down can be used to select a different organization. Click Select Providers. From the Select Providers window, the user can search for an existing provider or enter a new one by clicking New Provider. Once a provider is found and highlighted, the Modify button becomes active, allowing the user to modify the details of that provider. Clicking OK, the provider is added to the external organization. The added provider will display in italic in the grid. Status, preferred method of correspondence, and address correspondence to are required fields. For every provider associated to an organization, the user can choose to address correspondence to the provider, the organization, or a custom address. Addressing correspondence to a provider or an organization will utilize the provider's or the organization's address. When the user selects Address Correspondence to Other, address fields will be cleared out. Clicking the Copy button will let user copy address details from the external organization or the provider address and customize the values. Click OK to save changes. Modifying the list of external organizations and providers at external organizations linked to a patient can be performed in the ARIA registration workspace. Select the Hospital tab in ARIA after opening the patient in the registration workspace. On the Hospital tab of the registration workspace, the Referring Providers section now displays the external organizations and providers at external organizations with the referring physicians which are linked to the patient. The Primary and Primary Care checkbox is only visible and editable for referring physicians and providers at external organizations if the user has the appropriate user rights. Only active referring physicians, active external organizations, and active providers at external organizations are displayed. The Edit and View History buttons are enabled in the Referring Providers section if the user has the required user rights. Clicking the View History button will open the same history dialog seen in previous versions. Clicking the Edit icon opens the Select Referring Provider window where the user can search for active external providers using the text entered in the search text box. More than one provider can be searched by leaving a space or a comma between the search string. If nothing is entered in the search text box and the user clicks the search button, all external providers will be returned. The Available Providers grid is enabled for multiple selections, allowing the user to move several rows at once. Utilize the up/down arrow button to add or remove any selected rows. For both the Available Providers list and the Selected Providers list, when a single row is selected, the Modify button to the right of the selected row will be enabled. The New Provider and New Organization buttons are always enabled. The New Provider button opens the Physician Detail window in New mode. This window allows the user to add a new referring physician. If the user enters all the required information and clicks OK, the provider name will be added as a search string to the search text box, the search will be re-executed, and the newly added provider will be selected. The New Organization button opens the External Organization Detail window. This window allows the user to add a new external organization. If the user enters all the required information and clicks OK, the organization name will be added as a search string in the search text box, the search will be re-executed, and the newly added organization will be selected. When Associate button is clicked while a referring physician is selected, the Assign External Organizations to Provider window will open. To assign the provider to an external organization, click Select Organizations. Use the search option in the Select Organizations window to search for an organization. Clicking OK will save the changes. When the Associate button is clicked while an external organization is selected, the Assign Providers to External Organization window will open. Click Select Providers and search for the provider. Clicking OK will save the changes. Of note, the external organization cannot be changed in the Assign Providers to External Organizations window. The external provider cannot be changed in the Assign External Organizations to Providers window. After closing the window, any saved changes will appear in the Referring Providers summary grid. These changes are not yet saved to the database. The user must click the Save button on the Hospital tab to send the changes to the database. Patient Explorer has been modified to allow for the addition of external organizations and referring physicians to patients when creating a new patient in ARIA. The new look to the window includes 2 tabs, labeled Institutions and Care Team, and Referring Providers. Use the Institutions and Care Team tab to assign institutions and assign a care team. Click Assign Institutions to assign a default institution. Choose a hospital from the drop-down. Select from the available departments and move to the lower window. Use the Default Hospital drop-down to set the default hospital. Input the rest of the data as appropriate and click OK. Clicking the Assign Care Team button allows the user to add a primary oncologist, as well as other members of the care team. In radiation oncology, this team might include nurses, therapists, nutritionists, etc. When complete, click OK. The Referring Providers dialog is accessible through the Edit button on the Referring Providers tab. The Select Referring Providers dialog in Patient Explorer allows for the searching of referring providers and external resources and associating them to a patient. However, there are no buttons to create new organizations or providers or associations between them. After entering providers and organizations, click OK.
To configure global settings, select Setup, then System. Click Global Settings icon. Select Preferences. Click Edit Preferences. Set options for Chart QA processing date, activity reminders, and the starting date for overdue activities. Click OK. Directives state a patient's wishes in the event they are unable to make healthcare decisions. To define directives, select Directives. Click New. Type a directive description. Select Active. Select User Confirmation Required. Uncheck to change from active to inactive. Unsaved directives can be deleted or modified. To delete, right-click, select Delete. Phone service providers allow you to add phone providers for text message reminders to patients. Select Phone Service Provider. Click New. Type provider name. Click Save. To set approval prompts, select Approval. Enter approval options. For specific approval types, select the event. Select a behavior prompt. Click Save. To configure optional demographics, select Demographics. Select the options. To configure collimator tolerances to highlight in the treatment history of Chart QA, when a value has been exceeded, select Chart QA. Type collimator tolerance. Click Save. To add a new hospice to the registry, click the hospice registry icon. Click New. Type hospice details. Click OK. To enter a patient ID, within Data Administration select Setup, choose System. Select Patient IDs. There are two types of IDs, Global IDs and Hospital IDs. Global IDs can be used across all hospitals and departments, such as a patient's medical record number. Hospital IDs are restricted to a specific hospital in a multi-site configuration. At least one global ID must be active, required and set as the ID1 patient ID. Select Edit to add or edit a patient ID. To indicate ID1, check the box under the column labeled ID1. Check Active. Visible will automatically be selected when the ID is marked as active. Check Required to make the ID mandatory when entering new patients. Type the label in the Patient ID header field to enter the label that will display in the registration workspace. In the Unique column, check to ensure the patient ID is unique to the database. Note, checking unique allows the patient ID to be reused if the patient's ID has been changed. Unique history allows a patient's ID to be reused only if the patient has been purged. Check System generated for automatic creation of ID numbers in sequential order. Read only will not allow editing of the ID even with appropriate user rights. To define a default format mask, select the patient ID from the list and type the format requirement in the Format Mask field. Use the hashtag symbol and dashes to represent the desired format. Click OK to save and close.